As we wrap every week, courtesy of our friends, the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park, that's Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, and Baseline Road, we ask you, Real Talkers, for your hot takes. We want you to fire up your own flamethrowers. That's right. These are all real emails to talk@ryanjespersen.com, presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. This one from Brendon, who's writing in about the Peterson Law. Danielle Smith put in front of Albertan, says, I love the show, and I'm usually down for seeing both sides of an issue, but this Peterson Law has me all riled up. Taking away any power to hold professionals accountable for their public conduct is at worst idiotic, and in my view, a conniving and vindictive way of eroding institutions that may get in the way of UCP policy with pesky science. If we want to take the whole trans rights issue as an example, the point of gender-affirming care isn't to mollycoddle people or to promote cutting off genitalia, which is, of course, not actually happening. The fucking point is to prevent suicide. 1 in 3 trans youth attempt suicide. And how far is therapy going to go if kids are hanging from the rafters? Wonders Brendon. It's nuanced, and there are occasionally just confused kids exploring what their identity is. Of course, but why the hell is it more important for all these people to point out the small minority of outliers than to provide care that is proven to prevent suicide in this population? Get kids stable and safe and sort out the nuance later. Calling out this junk is undermining a methodology proven to keep kids alive. That's why there's ethics around public statements by professionals. It's not because the professional body is all left-wing nut jobs. It's that there are ramifications to the care of all patients that are falling under the care of these professionals. The public needs to feel safe going to a professional and trust that they're guided by standards that prevent them from harming people. Peterson is an entertainer at this point, and he undermines his profession. He could very easily discuss changing his approach with the professional bodies in private, but that would take him acting professionally. He's here for the clicks and the book sales. He's a professional mental gymnast, but unfortunately, they don't have a regulatory body. If the professional bodies can't have a say in what ethics are involved in practicing a profession, why on earth should the government have a say? They're not professionals, and they've proven they have no interest in consulting anybody on most issues, so how could they ever understand the nuance of any of this? Free speech is freedom to speak, not freedom from consequence, and unfortunately, they're just offloading the consequences to patients. We need less Twitter and Facebook rants, more professionalism in science. This is just more time and money wasted chasing ideology and votes for Take Back Alberta. That's from Brendon. You can walk in front of my camera, Erica. I don't care. David says, Danielle Smith and the UCP have gone down the rabbit hole again, chasing a non-issue with this Peterson Law. Speaking as a retired professional engineer, Dave has his PEng. He says, this is just another example of the alt-wrong, I see what you did there, the alt-wrong conservatives wanting freedom and rights without any of the required responsibilities that go along with them. A licensed professional has an ethical and professional duty to be honest and factual in their dealings with the public. Dr. Peterson is none of that and is spreading alt-wrong nonsense and lies. And he's free to spread babbling nonsense as an individual, but not as a licensed psychologist. How about this from Brent, who says, I'm starting to think that all Canadians are lazy. Lazy how? Whatever government's in power, they just throw out BS social programs that cost millions and millions and millions of tax dollars, and we just accept it. They issue mandates like plastic bans and the carbon tax and other BS to control our everyday life for some pie-in-the-sky idea, and we just say, okay, without a thought, as if there's anybody out there that questions anything about these programs. Oh, they're branded by the government, the liberal media, and all their little honks that they're either misogynistic, racist, homophobic, xenophobic, climate deniers, or whatever the hell you want to call me, and lazy, because these programs and spending, the cost working Canadians, it's costing us over half our income. Now, if anybody in Canada had the balls and enough energy to look into looking after themselves instead of having that cradle-to-grave mentality, it wouldn't be so easy for said governments to control us. And it's been proven over and over again that that's all government wants to do, and the media honks that have the platforms in Canada are not there to question the government in power. They're there to be the mouthpieces of government. Brent signs off out of Onaway by saying, as old Calgary radio sports guy Joe Sports used to say, my thoughts, not yours. That from Brent. And we'll wrap up with this from TheSco, who says, I got to admit, Jespo, I'm missing the maverick of Maudlin Mondays. He's talking about Senator Charles Adler. He says, I want you to give Johnny Infamous kudos for me. About a week ago, it was nice to see him lightly call out Hillary for referring to Donald's rally as a Nazi rally.
Lightly?
What's the rule again? He says the first one to call someone Hitler loses the debate.
Yeah.
He says it's the dying gasps of a failing regime, Democrat style. SCO says, however, some misinformation on Real Talk. Donald Trump was not dancing at his rally because there was he was dancing rather because there was a medical emergency in the crowd. He was not doing it to keep his speech, while someone was getting treated. They were playing some music. He says there's no scandal here, Jespersen. The mainstream media conveniently leaves this out to further their narrative around how Trump is unhinged and demented and whatever else they've latched onto. He says, there you go, from miss to dis to malinformation. TheSco says, regardless, carry on, Pally. The shows have been great. Thanks, TheSco. We appreciate every single one of you that contributes to this show, whether it's subscribing to YouTube, whether it's subscribing to the podcast, telling your friends, supporting our amazing sponsors like the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park, or making donations when we come together to do something special. I want to give a shout out to Ms. KD, who's put $10 to Youth Empowerment Support Services. We'll match that. And she says, I'm giving another 10 to Avenue 15 in Calgary to support youth unhoused. How cool is that? A shout out to S. Scott K, who's also kicked in $12. We're going to match that. And everybody else. We do this because we love each other, because we're a community, and because we keep it real. Thanks for being part of this. We'll see you again on Monday.